Hi, I'm Kathy Kowalik, and I believe that our dogs connect us to the heart and soul of what really matters in life. So hang out, and we'll take a deep dive into the human-dog connection and explore strategies that will inspire you to create legendary, enlightened partnership with your dog. This is the Enlightened by Dogs podcast.
Murphy joined us on walks. He was fine. He really wasn't interested in people at all, but it didn't bother him to come with us. He was fine. So we thought, oh, he's new, maybe in a couple of weeks he'll just get better. So we waited, and then about 6 weeks later, it was 4th of July weekend. We decided to take the dog swimming and go to the park afterwards. And we did that. We came home. All dogs slept for like 2-3 hours. Murphy woke up. He bolted off the couch. He started spinning. He started scratching our wood floor, running in the hallway, taking drywall off the wall, and barking nonstop. It was like he was a new dog. I'm like, where did our Murphy go? What's wrong with him? He was doing that for 2 days straight. It was weekend, so we couldn't take him to our vet. Monday morning, we took him in right away. Our vet looked at him, and she said, he's got OCD behavior. She didn't know why, what, how, but she said definitely needs to be medicated if it's that bad. And she also said he should see an evaluation specialist, behavioral specialist, to see what they recommend. So we scheduled that right away. She came actually the next day. He was on medication. He was on 2 different meds. And on the second day of the medication, he started getting, he was starting resource guarding, and he was starting to get really, we couldn't touch the crate anymore. We couldn't put him on a leash anymore. He would immediately grab either us, the leash, or his crate. We called the vet back. She said, take him off the one medicine, keep him on the other one. A couple hours later, the behavioral specialist came. She looked at him for 15 minutes. She said, return him. Dogs like that don't do well in a household, especially not with other dogs. So we were like devastated. Wow. We didn't know what to do. There we had a dog that obviously needed help, but we didn't know how to help him. The medicine made it worse. The trainer didn't want to bother with him. She told us flat out, I don't want him in my class. Not like that. And our vet totally shut down. She said, if you don't want to medicate him, if you don't want to do this, you don't want to do that, we can help you. So right away, whenever we would call and ask something, they were like reserved with us because they knew that we didn't want to medicate him or, return him. So I could tell we had no help there.
And so in the meantime, while all this was going on, while you were looking for ways to help him, talking with the behaviorist, talking with the vet.
Yeah.
What was
nobody was helping.
What was Murphy doing at home?
Murphy was getting worse. His resource guarding, we couldn't have any food in the house. We couldn't eat in front of him. We couldn't cook. The smell of food made him go crazy. He would just spin, bark, fly over, bolt over. He was going on our fireplace mantle, taking down everything. He was standing on our table, ripping things off the table. And the minute he smelled food, he was flying into the stove. There was no safety to keep him. We couldn't put him anywhere because he was not safe to be left alone. We still could not have them together. So between Christmas of 2017 and February of 2018, we had 3 major fights between Bear and Murphy, and to a point where I did not feel safe for them to be in the same room. So we kept them totally apart. Very difficult. We had gates up everywhere. We have open concept, living room, kitchen, wide open. We have one garage that everybody has to enter through. And we ended up having 3 different fence areas for the dogs because we could not have one with the other because we never knew what would happen. So that was that. And then in February of 2018, again, the picture that you see with Murphy on the couch on his birthday, that was his rehoming picture. I thought I wanted to share that with you guys. I really never shared that with anybody, but I did have him posted on Deaf Dogs Rock because I just felt that I couldn't keep him safe. And it wasn't that Bear was mean to him or anything. They were doing it to each other. They were so stressed out that it just wasn't working anymore. So yeah, so we were thinking of rehoming him, but we really didn't want to because we knew nobody's going to take a deaf dog that is resource guarding and on 2 different medications and a mess. And so we just kind of threw it out there and said, let's just see what happens and if we find him a home. But in the meantime, we still had to deal with the challenges in our house. So one day I looked at Facebook. I was scrolling through and I saw your workshop. And when I saw Dancing Hearts, I thought, wow, this just sounds just like up my alley. So yeah, I signed up for the free workshop and I never looked back. We completed the workshop and we signed up for the first year right after, and it's been going great ever since then.
Wow. Well, that was a very clearly painted picture of the struggles and challenges and how your happy family life completely turned upside down. And I've got to say that you are very resilient, and obviously you're very devoted to your dogs.
We made a commitment. Yes, we made a commitment to Murphy, but we also made a commitment to our other dogs.
Right.
We weren't going to say, okay, Murphy is there now, you guys just have to live with it, because it wasn't working.
Yeah.
So we committed to all our animals. Yeah,
well, to be commended. So I'm sure everyone is dying to know. like tell us what happened, right?
So what happened is we finished the workshop, and like I said, we started already before not walking them anymore because we knew that part was really bad. Now, I grew up in Germany, and in Germany, everybody walks their dogs. 3, 4, 5 times a day is nothing. I lived in the city. We had a little garden, but yet we walked our dogs. We took them on a bicycle. I grew up with German Shepherds. So, that's what we did. So for me, being home, not being able to walk my dogs was horrible.
Torture,
so I said,
right?
I'm going to work on this. I'm going to do everything Kathy tells me, and I'm going to fight through it, and I'm going to get to this, and my dogs are going to be fine. They're going to make it, and we're going to keep them, and we're going to do it.
Well, and I have to say that
that's what we did.
You were, well, you still are. You were so committed, and you were like so determined. When I tell, you hear me say it, like, your success is inevitable if you follow, and if you believe, your success is inevitable, and you really believed it, and you did it.
In general, I think it's so profound for us human beings, the partnership lifestyle. I mean, for me, I think I'm changing quite a lot. I have changed a lot during this last year. I feel I've come into myself in a deeper way. That's maybe an aside, although it shouldn't be an aside because we neglect ourselves so much in that equation, I think. For Zoe, one of the things the walking without lead is certainly something I believe we will get to in certain situations. The other one I'd love is for her to feel more confident that she's going to be comfortable with other dogs. That's something that I'm not in any way pushing for. She showed us quite early on that she doesn't like other dogs much. She has one friend who that works very well. It would be nice if I could feel more confident if we're walking around and meeting other dogs that she will be okay. But it's okay if she's not also. So it's not exactly that it's an aim. If it happened, it would show she was more comfortable in her skin. I think it's that more than anything. It would make life a bit simpler if I am out and about with her, that I'm not always in that protective mode as far as other dogs are concerned. But I manage that normally very well, and I'm confident about it. So, which I wasn't before BPA at all.
Right, and so it's just sort of a way of life that she needs a little bit more space, and you don't even think about it. You just know how to respond. There's no drama to it. It's just a lifestyle.
Exactly.
Yeah, I remember, and you was it a couple weeks ago maybe? You had posted something with you and Zoe, like in an outdoor cafe, and
we went to a town. we went to a town 2 hours drive away, Narbonne, beautiful old town, and it was full of people and full of dogs, and she was absolutely amazing. I mean, for a country mountain hunting dog,
Yeah.
she was amazing in town.
So a couple years ago,
Right.
4 years ago, maybe,
Yeah.
Clover,
Right. We brought
was the girl that you were looking for help with, right?
Yeah.
Tell us about Clover and what was going on.
So Clover, we got her as a puppy, and I was like, oh, this is going to be this perfect puppy. And she was from like working dog lines and all this stuff. And from a tiny little puppy, she was resource guarding to number one. Then, of course, being like, oh, I'm going to be so good. I'm going to like do all those things like, oh, we got to get her social, you know, out there doing all those things that like not always so good in the end. And she ended up becoming very resource guarding to the dog we had. She was very difficult with our dog, Monty. I mean, she would push him away. He was a very stable, like good. I mean, he was amazing. And so she was tough with him. She became reactive. She would like, I mean, we couldn't even walk past dogs in a yard and behind a fence. She would be lunging and barking. And then Monty died abruptly. That threw me into a mental turmoil, which of course didn't help her. And she actually got worse. You know, my stress buckets were obviously beyond full. Her stress buckets were beyond full, just dealing with me. My whole household was a mess. And she became, you know, more reactive. And then after that, I did start to go, okay, I gotta like get this. I gotta focus, and I've got to commit to her, and I'm gonna start again. I need to do the foundation formula again because I gotta get this, you know. And we started in, I mean, and then not too long, I guess that year and a half after that, we were getting a new puppy. So that also was a big motivation to, you know, okay, we're bringing another dog into this. We have a dog who's not good with other dogs. We bring a puppy into it. We really got to get a grip on this. So we, you know, went back and I was like, I'm going to be here for you. I'm going to be here for this puppy. You know, we're going to make this a good life. And, you know, we did all the things, you know, we did we're just going to work in the backyard for a while. We're just not going to go out. We're not comfortable. And really the biggest thing was, I can say Clover is a sensitive, reactive, very smart, and wants to control things. And she's exactly like me. And I always think, because I have so much gratitude to Clover, because I feel the dogs that are so hard, like they, or whatever, like wherever they come from, they've chosen the hard thing. Like it's easy to be the easy dog. Like it's easy to be the dog that like, oh, they're so perfect and they do everything and they're like calm and nice and they go everywhere and they have fun. But how hard is it to be a hard dog, you know? And that
it's hard. She
was there for me. And she truly, like, I know that I was meant and we were meant to be together. Like there were signs that we were meant to be together. And she has taught me so much about myself. And the two of us have come, I mean, I can't even believe how far the both of us have come together.
Yeah, I mean, well, you're like a completely different person.
I am a completely different person.
And Clover is like, she's like the rock solid rock star, right?
She's unbelievable. And I mean, you know what? And I don't put her into situations that I know are going to be not good for either of us. But I actually will know there will be times I'll go out and I'll be like, you know, my head's not in the right place for this. Like, she's not going to be good because I'm not good. So I'll be like, you know what? oh, we'll go back to the yard and play in the yard. It'll be fine, you know, not a problem. And that's what we do, you know. And then the other thing that I found with, you know, when we went through everything, we got to the point of brilliant partners, and I'll never forget, like, walking with her, and then all of a sudden I was walking with her and we were brilliant partners, and we were walking, just the two of us walking together, and the feeling of it, that I actually was like, I am walking my dog, and this is like relaxing. And I'm enjoying this. Like, this is like, I'll go out, like, if I'm like, I'll be like, you know what? Oh, there's so much going on. Let me take a walk with Clover. And the crazy thing is, we might see something that, like, she's like, oh, I'm a little nervous about that. And I'm like, all right, we got this. Like, we'll move over here. And literally, like, you know, we have the dance, which is the dance. But when we're walking together like that, I feel like we are in a dance together, because we just flow through the walk, you know. We're just like, oh yeah, there's a dog over there. Well, maybe we'll just kind of stay over on the side here. We'll go down into there. Oh, there's the dog walking by now, but we're good. And she'll look up at me and like bump me with her nose and smile, you know. And it's an unbelievable thing.
If we're in training mode, it's amazing, like mind-blowingly amazing, right? And then there's real life. When you really need it. And so that happens so often, right? I mean, it doesn't always. Sometimes there's, you know, there's like we don't, you know, don't get good results with training either. But so often, there's a big percentage, don't you think, that have really done the work and put the time in and worked with trainers, worked with behaviorists, and their dogs are well trained, but that doesn't carry over in real life.
Yeah, exactly that. You know, it just didn't carry over. And then our real low point was a walk we took one day. We were out I was out on my own, and we had been doing some of our recall. He was still on a long lead wherever we went, but I was trying to, you know, to drop the lead and let him go a little bit, have a little bit of a responsibility and call him back, etc. And we were out in the field. We'd gone for a walk and we were coming back towards the car. And our routine was that I used to just drop the long lead for the last sort of 50 meters or so. And he would always rush straight to the car and wait for me at the car. So we did that, and I dropped the lead and off he went. And I knew where I was, and where I'd parked the car was pretty safe. There were sheep fields on either side of us, but there was high stone walls on either side. So it was like an alley that he could run through and straight to the car. So I dropped the lead and off he went. And all of a sudden, he I don't know, he was about 50 meters ahead of me. And I suddenly saw him swing his head up to the one side. And he put his paws up on the wall, looked over, and I thought, oh, geez. And he saw the sheep, but they were way off in another field. They weren't, you know, right there. They were way, way off. And I just thought, well, he'll look over the wall, see that they're way too far. You know, it's not worth his chase, kind of thing. And, you know, he'll just hop back down. Well, that wasn't the case. He took a huge leap. He flew over the wall, but he didn't realize that there was a 6-foot drop on the other side of the wall. And he crashed. He literally crashed down at the bottom. And I just thought, broken dog. I just screamed. You know, I looked over the wall, saw him down there, and I thought, oh, he's broken every limb in his body. He's finished. He got up, because it literally was a huge jump. I mean, he literally just took off straight, cleared the wall, and then, you know, fell 6 foot on the other side. Got up and just headed straight for the sheep. And I just screamed and I whistled, and, you know, it was, forget it. It was gone. And all I could think of was, my God, the farmer comes out now. He is going to shoot my dog. He is going to. He is in full right. There's Charlie splitting the sheep, going wild. They running everywhere, freaking them out, totally stressed out. And I just thought, that's it. I was frozen. I couldn't do anything. I didn't know how to get him back or what to do. And I honestly thought, in my mind, there was going to be a farmer who was going to come out and shoot him. I was totally panicked, but, you know, they say you can do incredible things when you pump full of adrenaline. And that's exactly what I did. I jumped the wall. I dropped down on the 6-foot side. I picked him up and I climbed back over the wall with him. And I was like, this dog is has got to go back. He has got to go back to the rescue center. I can't handle this.
It was just like the final straw. Like,
it was that. And I was furious. I was angry. I was beside myself. I was panicked. Obviously, the fear that had set in, thinking of what could happen to him. We went straight back to the car, put him in the car, rushed back home, and I went straight for the file where his, with the details for the rescue center were, because I was going to phone them there and then and say, I'm bringing him back. And I was looking through the file and I found the page, and just below the number there, it was our sort of the contract that I'd signed, and it said, I, Sue Mim, promise to give Charlie a forever loving home. And the words just hit me smack in the face, and I just thought, oh, what am I doing? I have promised this dog that I would give him a forever home, a second chance, and that I would do everything to help him. And here I was saying, giving up on him and saying, you're a wreck. You've wrecked my life. I don't want you. I don't love you. Take this dog and go. And I just thought, it broke me. It really, really broke me.
One thing I distinctly remember is when I, this was like a couple years ago, when I first posted that morning walk video, and my 2 puppies ran off, and I was doing it live, and I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen here. I'm out on a walk, you know, and it's open to the whole world, including a busy road. And I've got 2 puppies, and I'm going live to show what partnership looks like. I'm like, talk about living on the edge, right? And so I did that. The puppies took off chasing something, and I just kept walking and talking. And like 5 seconds later, they came running back, and da 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 da. And I never asked the dogs to check in. I remember you saying, I want that. I
Exactly.
want that.
Yes. Yeah.
And
exactly.
so something about that was a turning point for you, I guess. Huh?
Yeah, it was. It was that. It was like, I want that. That's what I want. And it was a coaching. It was a laser coaching during the RRI that I had with you. And I was going on about, I think at that time I had that problem with Charlie rushing off to the water. He's also a water hunter, so he kept rushing down to the water. And I was using the pre-MAC principle. So anybody who doesn't know that out there, that's basically what happens is, in the training world, your dog gets to have a reward that he wants if he does something for you first, or if he, what is the word I'm looking for? You know, he follows through with a cue, a command, and you get him to do something.
It's compliant.
It's compliant. So it was a transaction, isn't it? So basically I said to him, you walk at my side for 10 paces, and then you can go down to the river. Okay, so that was his reward. He wanted to go down to the river, and I said, you walk at my side in heel position for 10 strides, and my plan was to just increase it by stride, by stride, by stride. But what I found was the arousal level just increased and increased and increased. As we got down to the river already, he was already a shaking wreck, because he knew that he had to get to my side in order to get down, and then he would tear down there, and then he was uncontrollable. Couldn't call him back again, etc., etc. So it just was out of control. And I was telling you about this during the laser coaching call, and you said something to the effect of, why are you doing this, and what is your actual, what are you trying to get out of it, And I just said, well, I just want him to listen to me and stop going down to the water and pay more attention to me. And you kind of said, well, I think you missed the point here. He's not attentive to you in the first place. He doesn't want to be next to you in the first place. So trying to get him to coerce him to be at your side is not the aim of the walking partners dance. Okay.
Bingo.
So yeah, it was that final straw when I realized I was still trying to fix him after I thought I hadn't been fixing him anymore. I was still trying to fix him. And
there's so many cases where, following the pre-MAC principle, whether someone understands that's what they're doing or not, like the technical term, is so many cases, it doesn't work. And the bottom line is it's still transactional.
It
right?
is.
Yeah. So then, so you had a shift after that. So what did you do about that? How did that insight change what you did with Charlie? What did you do?
I had to go back to the clarity chart. I actually had to go back and say, well, why am I walking down at the river if I can't get him to be attentive to me and he wants to do his things? So it was a clarity chart thing again. Go back and find out, I shouldn't be walking down at the river in the first place. So we had to give the river walk that we usually do, had to give that a long break, and I had to go back and start learning the walking partnership dance again. Again, that was something that I had done. I'd seen the videos, but we'd done it in the foundation formula, but I'd also done a bit, not obedience as such, a bit of rally, that kind of thing. I knew how to get a dog to walk next to me by my side.
Right.
So it was like, well, why do I need to learn the walking partners dance? So I hadn't done it to, the way it should be done.
Right.
And I had to go back and learn it again. So we started off at home. I literally had him by my side, just in default position, just walking around the house. And now to many people, and to me at the time as well, it was a very big mindset shift. Because you can imagine, if you're a trainer and you have your dog has got a trick dog certificate and it's good companion certificate and can do this XYZ and agility and now I'm saying I'm going back to getting my dog just to stand in default position next to my side and rewarding that. It's like, hello. I didn't want to go back there, but I realized that I had to, because I did not have that connection right from the word go. So it was getting
and rewarding in a different context.
Exactly. Learning to reward from my heart instead of out of my pocket.
From my perspective, from what you were saying and what you were expressing, I felt like you were feeling like there was something missing in your relationship with Flick, is something deeper, that she was, it was good and you loved her and she loved you and all that. And, fine in that way, but that it wasn't reciprocal. The love that you felt for her and the deep devotion you felt for her, it was almost like you felt that wasn't exactly reciprocal.
Right. Yeah.
And that chicken incident showed you the truth.
Yeah. Okay. It's a little bit painful.
Well, just you can skip the painful part, or whatever parts you know what I mean, whatever you're comfortable with.
I had a little flock of chickens that were in my backyard in a pen, and one day I came home and they'd all been killed and one had been taken, and I think it was a fox. And I was just completely and utterly shocked and quite traumatized, because they were my pet. They were also pets, and also Flicker had quite a bit to do with them, in that she would herd them around the garden and various things. She'd sort of grown up with them. She showed more interest in a nice way than the other dogs. But anyway, this was during the afternoon. I went into the enclosure and I had the feeling that I needed to take Flicker in with me so that she knew what had happened. Don't ask me why, I don't know. I just felt that she had more of a connection to them than Casper and Sky did, and I just took her into the enclosure and she sniffed around and she sniffed their bodies, and I could tell that she was getting the whole story of what had happened. And then later on, as it became dark, I didn't have any room. I've only got a very small yard. I've buried quite a few animals in it. And I actually felt I had no bad feeling to the foxes. So I took the remaining bodies of the chickens, I took them over the park, and I took Flicker with me because it seemed right. And I took the chickens to where I knew that the fox's lair was, and I gave the chicken, well, at least I left the chickens there, and Flicker was with me the whole time. And she was very present and very close to me. And afterwards, when we walked back, I mean, by that time it was really dark, and it's open ground, and it can actually be quite scary because all sorts of people walk on there. It's a public open space, trees and grass and stuff. And at one point, because it was so dark, I couldn't see Flicker, and I didn't want to call out because I was somewhat apprehensive about anyone else who was around. So I intentionally directed my thought. I called her in my mind, and she was right there. She came absolutely straight to me, just like an arrow. Sorry.
I'm crying too.
It was just such an experience of connection with her. I'm sorry. That, yeah. Oh dear. So yes, it was, and it didn't happen just once, because she sort of went off and she was around and I didn't see her, and then I got a little anxious and called her again in my mind, not verbally, and there she was again, and she was just with me. Usually she runs away the moment we get near the bottom of the hill. I'd forgotten to take my lead with us, and I don't know, I didn't even really think about it until we got in the house. She actually stayed with me the whole way up. There was no faffing around of going into the neighbour's garden or chasing the cats. It was out of a very traumatic episode for me regarding the poor chickens, came a very deep experience with Flicker, in which I glimpsed how deep a partnership possibly could go.
Thanks so much for listening. And hey, would you like to know my 3 secret formulas for having a happy relationship with your dog? If you want your dog to be attentive and responsive to you on a whole new level, then you'll want to start using these tips today. I'll share 3 of my best communication strategies as my way of saying thanks for rating and reviewing this show on iTunes. Just go to enlightenedbydogs.com to get all the details. See you next time, and remember, a brilliant partnership with your dog makes your whole life brilliant.